You are tuned in to The T-Side, a podcast where we talk total health, life lessons, and music. I'm your host, licensed therapist, doula, and music enthusiast, Tawnya D. Now let's get into it. Hello, you are tuned in to The T-Side podcast. I'm your host, Tawnya D. If this is your first time listening, welcome. If you are a returning listener, welcome back. If you enjoyed today's episode, I hope you will share it with a friend or two so they can enjoy it as well. Yes, it's that time of year again. It is daylight savings time. Time for us to fall back where we set our clocks back 1 hour and get an extra hour of time in our day.
What time is it?
The theme song for today is Cool by The Time. All week I've been thinking about Morris Day screaming, "What time is it?" which is one of his favorite catchphrases that he's known for, which can be heard on the very first song, Wild and Loose, from their second album released in 1982, titled What Time Is It? But because it's fall and we're in boot and sweater season here, I picked the song Cool just because it just made more sense. Besides, Wild and Loose isn't one of my favorite songs. Anyway, Cool can actually be heard on their debut album, aptly titled The Time. Although most people consider the name of the group Morris Day and The Time, it's actually The Time. Morris Day was just the front man. And yes, Morris Day is a part of the whole Prince camp that came out of Minneapolis back in the late 70s, early 80s. To learn more about Morris Day, The Time, and their involvement with Prince, you can go back and listen to, I believe it was Season 2, Track 6 of the podcast called Purple Rain Trivia, where I talk more about the individual group members, their contribution to the Minneapolis sound, as well as the great things that they are still doing to this day. But I'm not going to keep you long today. I just wanted to talk about daylight savings time. Now, one thing about me is that I'm a very logical person, and I need things to make sense. And I also pride myself in being able to figure things out. And one thing for me that has never made sense, and I cannot for the life of me figure it out, is daylight savings time. I don't know what it is, but it just does not make sense to me. So can somebody please make it make sense? Because I feel real slow when people are trying to explain it. I just don't get it. No matter how many times it's explained or how they say it, it just doesn't add up. I sort of get it. But the thing is, when they change the dates in which they decide it's going to start and end. And the thing is, I always wonder, who are they? Every year I look up information on daylight savings time as it pertains to understanding it, but I never looked up how or where it started in hopes that one day it'll click and I get it. But every year, nope. I think it confuses me more because some places do it, some don't. Because in Hawaii, Guam, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands, they don't do daylight savings time. Then you have Arizona, which the majority of the state does not recognize daylight savings time. But then you have I think the northeast portion with the Navajo Nation, they do recognize daylight savings time. And according to the Congressional Research Service, Arizona opted out of daylight savings time back in 1968 because they felt it was largely unnecessary because of the hot temperatures. People actually prefer to do activities in the evening when the temperatures are a little cooler. But then to complicate things even more, some resorts will function on what's called island time. And that's not a formal thing. But basically, island time is basically no time at all. You just kind of relax. You don't focus on time. Just do what you want, when you want, whatever. But some places will actually say, oh, we're on island time. And if you're traveling out of the country to go to an island, it makes it even more confusing because you already have to deal with East Coast, West Coast, Mountain Time, Central Time. And they overlap in some states. It's too much. But, I like trivia and random facts. So I actually looked up who they were this year. And the concept actually has a very long history associated with it. The concept initially started way back in 1784, apparently with Benjamin Franklin, of all people, who wrote a satirical letter to the Journal of Paris, talking about how waking up earlier in the summer would economize candle usage and save money. But it was in 1895 when a New Zealand entomologist, and for those that don't know, that's a person who studies bugs. Ugh. And he was also an astronomer. He introduced the concept to the Wellington Philosophical Society because he wanted more daylight hours to examine insects. So he proposed changing the clocks 2 hours every spring. Okay. Weird, but okay, whatever. But as a way to conserve coal, in 1916, Germany and a few other countries adopted the concept of changing the hours. And in 1918, during World War I, the U.S. adopted the same philosophy as a way to conserve coal. But it was actually April 13th, 1966, when it was officially enacted by the government in what's called the Uniform Time Act. So basically they, which it usually is the government. Worldwide, more than 70 countries observe daylight savings time. In the UK and Europe, it's called summertime, according to a USA Today article. And theirs actually ended on October 31st of this year. Again, people are changing times when they feel like it. Again, it just does not make sense to me. But here in the States, the Department of Transportation is in charge of daylight savings time. They say that it saves energy, prevents accidents, and decreases crime, which I found very interesting. I didn't feel like looking up all that, but that's very interesting. However, sleep experts will say that, losing sleep and the changing in your circadian rhythm is not helpful at all. And as someone who has a lot of sleep issues, I would have to agree. It's not helpful because you're tired and you're all off and you feel like you've got not enough time to do things. And I don't know. I wish they would just make it one time, stop changing stuff up and all of that. But again, I kind of get it because the whole concept was for people to have more daylight hours to participate in activities, and therefore that, fuels the economy, blah, blah, blah. I'm not the only one that feels like that. Actually, there's been a big push over recent times to have that changed, to just make it one time year round. And currently there are, I believe, 19 states that are fighting to make daylight savings time year round. And since I don't really know how it works, I'm not even sure what would actually change outside of us not having to change our clocks. Unfortunately, in order for it to be changed, federal laws would have to be changed. And we all know how the federal government can't really seem to agree on anything at the moment. So it's no wonder the bills that have actually been introduced are currently sitting stalled in Congress at the moment. But anyway, that's all I really had today. I just wanted to come on and vent. So thanks for listening. And again, if you understand daylight savings time and can break it down to me like I'm a third grader, please do so. Help a sister out. I would love to hear from you. I'm so serious because I just don't get it. So let me know, what are you going to do with your extra hour? You can always catch up on episodes of the T-Side Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or just head over to the website, thetsidepodcast.com, and leave a comment. Let me know you stopped by. I would love to hear from you. And while you're doing that, I'm going to take the time to de-web my basement because October is spider season and I feel like they're trying to take over. I had the guy come and spray, and now the dead ones are popping up everywhere. So they have to go because we cannot cohabitate. I'm the only one paying rent in here, so they gotta go. But anyway, that's a whole nother tangent that I'm not gonna get on. Anyway, until next time, enjoy your extra hour. Thank you for listening to the T-Side Podcast. Be sure to follow me on your favorite listening platform so you get notified when new episodes come out. You can also connect with me on social media at T_Side Podcast on Instagram and Twitter, as well as on Facebook at The T-Side Podcast. You can also head over to the website, thetsidepodcast.com, where you can leave a comment, send me an email, or even a voicemail. I look forward to hearing from you.